The following episode is brought to you by Poison City Brewing, proud makers of Durban Poison Cannabis Lager, the beer that invites you to live your poison.
Just for clarity, or anyone who might be listening to this right now, we've got Zazz on the show, and it's basically just myself and I. This is almost like a do-over, considering that we literally just had a session just now, and technology just wouldn't really agree with us. So having a second go at it, I hope it's going to be a lot better. We are in lockdown. And I'm really looking forward to this chat. And, just to begin with, you had already started telling me, Zazz, about how you sort of moved from Ashburton, and you're now based in Kloof. I think this would be a pretty good point to start at right now for anyone who's listening. How has that transition been for you? And what would you say some of the differences are between where you used to stay near Pietermaritzburg and Kloof, and how have you sort of been adjusting to life, this side?
So I haven't been living in Ashburton too long before, so I think I was in Ashburton for about 3 years. So to give a little bit more of the background, I was in Ashburton for 3 years. Before that, I was in Bainsfield for a little bit, and before that, I was in Glenwood, I was in Morningside, I was also in Westville for a little bit, and back in Maritzburg before that, and I grew up actually in Tolton, in Gauteng. But so transitioning from Ashburton to Kloof particularly was quite interesting, because I'm quite used to the dry air in Ashburton, because I feel that I kind of want to say deserty, but it's not deserty because it's still really green and vibrant. But I feel like more of like the aloes and cactus things grow much better in the climate there, because it's a little bit more drier. But Kloof certainly is not dry, not at all. And the only thing that I'm just trying to adjust mainly to, like climate-wise, is just trying to get used to the humidity, and in my house just trying to adjust, like with your clothes, you don't want your clothes to smell like humid, so it's just things like that. Otherwise, I think because the distance isn't too far from Ashburton to Kloof, I know it's like a 30-40 minute drive depending, the rest of my life hasn't changed too much. I still go to studio, I still go to work. If there's gigs, it's just a little bit easier now for me to get to gigs, whereas before it's just that extra travel time, really. Yeah.
And obviously for you being an artist, and you've moved, or rather you've been moving quite a lot, would you say you take a bit of each environment or each space that you're in for the time being and sort of incorporate that within your music? Like, for example, with some of the experiences that you had growing up in Joburg, some of the experiences that you've had in Glenwood, Ashburton, wherever you go, do you carry a piece of each place and sort of incorporate that within the music that you make?
Yeah, I think to a point, definitely. I think more so though, it's more about the life experiences that's going around rather than the places. So some places will have better memories. So growing up on a farm, for example, I've always thought that that's why I'm a little bit more into the country music rather than like pop or things like that. But I think more for me would be more like life experiences, heartbreak. That's kind of, or like love and all those kind of things is more where the music stemmed from, especially for the album.
Yeah, and I think that's a very interesting point. We need to get to the album later on in the show, but you really intrigued me there when you mentioned, that you're into country music, because you'll find that, before there was a time, before I work where I currently work now, where I had to sort of go through like this 3-month period working at a certain music store. And what I do remember is that, my knowledge of country music before working there was basically just the American artists and stuff. And then, from working there, I actually realized that there actually is sort of like a I wouldn't say thriving, but it's very present. Like when it comes to country music here in South Africa, especially in the Afrikaans, type music and all that. Would you say, we obviously did mention some of your influences, before you got cut off, Carrie Underwood, Pink, Kelly Clarkson and whatnot. Are there any South African country singers or maybe even Afrikaans, vocalists that you look up to and sort of draw inspiration from?
I'm not sure that I'm very familiar with the country music scene. I know Blackbird was quite a cool. Blackbird's quite a cool band, like all the duo or trio that they are, and their music's really great. There was also a while back, I don't know if they are still playing, there was a band called the Arrows. They had a really cool vibe as well, probably more folky. I don't know if they were really country, but yeah, I think more for me was currently is mainly the country American artists, because I feel like they pushing boundaries a little bit and going a little bit further. So they trying to push country a little bit further than old school country.
That makes a lot of sense. Just considering, country music on its own, like I didn't mention it, it's not exactly thriving. It's just, it is very much present. And a lot of the people from this country, are sort of exposed to the country music that comes from abroad and stuff. With you being a South African artist and sort of, being on that sort of country music tip, and enjoying that kind of music and all that, what is it, besides obviously being passionate about it and loving it from sort of a business perspective, that made you be like, okay, this is the genre that I'm going to do, especially considering that it's not really the biggest genre here in South Africa? So what made you be like, I'm going to do country regardless of that?
So for me, it's the music thing wasn't ever, or it's not that it wasn't ever, it's like, it's not in my reach. I can't, like, I'd love to be huge and famous and all those things, but I wanted more than that, to love the songs that I'm singing and relate to the songs that I'm singing and be proud of the songs and music that I'm putting out. So for me, country music was that. I feel like I could put my story into it, and because I'm so passionate about it, I feel that people will enjoy it more because it's coming from a good place. If that makes sense.
It does make sense. And obviously, looking at your lyrical content and all that, for anyone who's looking forward to listening to some of your music, or anyone who has really listened to it as yet, what would you say you mainly talk about in your music?
So for the first album, it took about 2 years to write, and I co-wrote it with my producer. And it was kind of with a journey that I was going through in life at that point. And so like I said, we took 2 years. So it was a little bit of everything. And there was a lot of the songs are heartbreak, but I also wanted songs that would relate to somebody. So whenever I listen to music, it either must have a really good beat, or it must have amazing lyrics that, like, your jaw drops and you zoning out to the lyrics. So I wanted the songs to be songs that were heartfelt, that people would be inspired by, and kind of say, oh my word, you have to listen to the song, and then share with your friends. So there are some like happy songs, I think, and there's some really sad songs, and then there's a lot of inspirational songs, because I'm all about girl power and just trying to be strong on my own. Why I say 2 years, you can see with the songs that there were different moments and different journeys throughout those 2 years, and you can see that in the lyrical content.
Yeah, and just looking at the fact, that you named the album These First Steps, tell me a bit more about that. Is that in line with, the journey, and what sort of significance, do the first steps have, when looking at the album as a whole?
So the reason I wanted it to be called These First Steps is because I kind of don't want it to just be one album. And I'm hoping that one day there'll be a second album and maybe a third. But the reason I said These First Steps is this is the beginning. This is this is where I'm starting at. I'm not Pink or Kelly Clarkson that can, boom, come out with everything. But this is just the beginning, and take it for where it is,
Yeah, and just looking at, Eclipse as a single as well, what made you pick this song, as the one that's going to be, the hit single, basically?
So I feel like Eclipse, although it is country, it's more on the country pop side. And because of that, I feel like it could do better in South Africa, because people enjoy pop music more than country music. Obviously, we said that the Afrikaans music scene is different because they love their country music. But I feel that it's quite a great song for everybody. Like, anybody can relate to it. Everybody's gone through a heartbreak. You can close your eyes, you can sing along, you can dance along. So I thought that this would be a great song to put out there.
And what's really beautiful about this is that you can really just see, basically I'm getting a lot of perspective and a lot of insights on the process that went behind making some of the songs that you've been making. You mentioned the album there, and the one thing that also stands out is the fact that Shadows has been playlisted on so many radio stations. Is this something that you sort of foresaw, or sort of like, did you expect for some of your music to be doing this well, especially Shadows?
Well, I think Shadows is such a great song on its own, and again, it's one of those songs that I think can relate to a lot of people, that like moment where you find the person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, that that love moment. So I think because of that, and because of the type of song, it is great that it's doing so well. I didn't expect it to, but I know that my producer, this Shadows was a song that he thought would do the best out of all of them.
It's not the first time that you're mentioning your producer as well. How did you guys actually link up? How do you guys know each other? And what is it that you really enjoy sort of working with him? Because it does seem like he has, he knows his stuff. I mean, he predicted that, Shadows would do so well. So, tell me a bit more about that relationship there, yourself and your producer.
So, funny enough, I've always been singing, always. When I was little, always. So I was doing a lot of karaoke, of course, and I had done quite a few karaoke competitions, and my producer saw me sing at, I think, my second karaoke competition, and then my third karaoke competition he was judging, and I had won that karaoke competition, and after I'd won it, he had offered me the recording contract to work with him. So we started working in studio, and he basically said, what songs do you want out there? What do you want your genre to be? What do you want? Basically. And it was a and ah, because I kind of started out like maybe the pop thing, because I wasn't like sure. But then there was a point where I was adamant I wanted to do country. No matter what, whether it's going to be big or not, I wanted to do country. And we've always worked really well together. We can sit and maybe like 2-3 hours work on a song and come up with the lyrical content and the production content, all those kind of things. And sometimes it flows really well, sometimes it doesn't. Like anything, there's good days and bad days. But he definitely pushed me to be vulnerable with the songs. And just got me to dig deeper than just being, like a boring song. Like, dig deep and create great lyrics and all those kind of things. And I would maybe come up with a line or something like that. And what was great is he would be like, okay, maybe look at it like this. Maybe we should write it like this. So it was so cool to get to work with him, because he's already an award-winning songwriter. So it was nice to learn, and it was such a great experience throughout the whole album, getting to push myself and learn how songwriting works.
That is very beautiful, how you guys actually linked up initially. The one thing that really just pops up as well, or stands out, is obviously your stage name, being Zazz. Is there any story behind that, like, at all? Because I mean, it's quite unique as well. You know, I literally don't know of any other artist in this world by the name of Zazz, and that's something that you find being a common occurrence, where you'll find that artists, you know, you'll find someone who's maybe starting out in music, they come up with the name and it's already taken or whatever, but they keep pushing with it. So is there any story behind your stage name being Zazz?
So my full name is Zandria, and growing up, people have always called me Zazz, Zazzy, Zazzikins, all these kind of things throughout. So I wanted Zazz, like, and my producer was like, I don't think it's a good idea, like, because Zandria Denabriga, my full name, would maybe be a little bit more specific, you know. But I was adamant, and like, pink is pink. It's 4 letters, that's it. So I was adamant that it would be Zazz, and that's what I decided. And funny enough, there's actually a French singer called Zazz, which I only found out later. But she's Zazz with 1 Z, so it's a little bit different. So it is interesting to see that there is, but yeah. So, but it's funny enough when you know Zazz, like if you Google Zazz, it's funny because there's other things that come up. I think I've even seen like a Sonic Hedgehog thing come up. It's weird. Yeah.
Looking at basically your performances and you know, your gigging career and all that, you know, there's quite a long list of places that you've actually played. You know, Barnyard Theatre, Silver Star, Gold Reef City. You've played all over the place. You know, what would you say you've learned over the years, you know, through your experience of playing so many venues? What has that sort of taught you, and something that you could also just pass on to someone who's, you know, wanting to start gigging and all that there?
I think the main thing is that it was great to do the Barnyards and the Rockwoods and all those things, and probably in my most memorable shows. But just as great as those are, some of the smaller venues were just as memorable and beautiful, and you get to push yourself a little bit more if you are singing to a crowd of 10, you know, just a random number. But if you're singing to 10 people, you need to sing with the same passion, the same stage presence, all those things that you would if you were singing to 200, 300, 1,000 people. So I think mainly, you know, no matter where you sing, no matter what, you just got to put the same amount of effort and passion into it.
Yeah, and what would you say, you know, from when you started, you know, playing live shows and all that, which, well, till the present day, which gig would you say sort of stands out, you know, and why does that one stand out for you?
So I think it would probably be the Rockwood show that we did in 2019. And the reason, also just to put everybody in the picture, but the reason that I got to perform at all these amazing places, and also not being in the music industry very long, was because I got to open up for a band called Parable 15, and they've just signed to Just Music. So because of their success, I got to tag along and put my music out there. But Rockwood in 2019, so just before COVID and all that stuff, in about August, we performed there, and I got to play with a full band. And that was just after the album got released. So because the album had just been released, it was my most standout because I got to play a lot of the songs from the album, the way that they were produced, and it was memorable. It was a great show. I got to run up and down stage and just sing my heart out.
When I look at, I think one of your posts that you actually put up, you've played a gig in Mozambique.
Yeah.
How was that whole experience playing in a completely different country?
It was so fun. I can just explain it as fun. It was a different vibe. It was such a memorable, exciting adventure. So being that it's a little bit closer to home, to South Africa, there were a lot of South Africans. So it didn't feel too different, to be honest. But it was very cool to get to say that I've played and sung and performed in Mozambique. Yeah,
That's very beautiful. And looking at, you obviously have the album, that's out. It's your debut album. What is it? Are there any sort of cutaways that are sort of hidden? Maybe songs that never made it into the album, or in actual fact, is there any music that has never surfaced, but that you have actually recorded but maybe haven't released before? And if so, like, why hasn't it been released? And can we expect for those tracks to be out anytime in the future?
So I know that Spotify has an acoustic version of June and Johnny, which is cool. It's got some violins and stuff in there, or fiddles, which is awesome. I have worked on a lot of music, but for the album we chose the best ones. Those, the ones that stood out the most. And funny enough, when we were doing the album and stuff like that, I was actually performing a lot of the songs that we were writing to see what the audience would most appeal to, like what would appeal most to the audience. And from that, we decided on the 12 songs that would go onto the album. There will be songs in the future. I'm hoping that there will be. Obviously, it's just everything dependent. There's lots of factors that go into it. But I am hoping that in the near future, there will be a second album, or maybe a single or something, but there's definitely more music.
Yeah, and you sometimes mention, when you talk about some of the stuff that you released, you use sort of like a collective or like a plural. You say we. When it comes to Zazz being an artist, is there like a whole team behind Zazz? Because I have picked up, even during this conversation, you did mention your producer. And I mean, the mere fact that we even doing this interview is thanks to Frederick as well, who actually reached out to us, on the emails and stuff. So, like, how many people are actually behind, Zazz? Or is Zazz just sort of like yourself doing everything and piecing it together?
So Zazz came out of October Sun Productions, which is a recording studio in Durban, in Westville. And there is a team behind it. Obviously, there's the producer, and there's a mixing, mastering guy. And we also have somebody who helps with social media. And Fred was actually in contact with my producer. So Fred is from Underground Press, and he helps artists with their marketing and I think social media and all those kind of things. And through my producer, Fred helped me get this interview, and he's helped me try get clips onto some radio stations and things like that. So I'm certainly not doing it alone. So it is good to have the team and the efforts, and obviously I certainly am not the one producing the music or mixing and mastering it or all those kind of things, but I try and be involved with all of the whole process of everything.
How's your family, sort of taken to you making music and sort of picking this as something that you're very serious about and want to do? There are a lot of misconceptions about artists and musicians and all that there. So how did your family feel about you picking music?
I've never had a negative vibe from my family with the music. My dad sings a lot. I mean, before all of this and doing the album and stuff, my dad and I would sing karaoke all day on a Sunday together. And both my sisters sing. My brother plays guitar and drums. So I think we are a very musical based family. So it wasn't like I was in a family with a bunch of doctors and then I was becoming an artist or something. So they're all very supportive. Where they can, they come to shows, So yeah, I'm very lucky in that sense.
Yeah, no, it's really cool that you've got the support, coming through from the family. I think there's literally nothing better, when it comes to also boosting your confidence and whatnot. So that's really beautiful. And just looking at the fact that, we pretty much spent the majority of 2020 in a very unique sort of setting, considering, the pandemic and lockdown and all of that there. What did sort of Zazz, do during that time frame? How did you sort of deal with, the lockdown that came about and having to face the fact that there's like a pandemic going on? How did you sort of deal with that?
So I certainly kept myself busy during lockdown. I actually have a full-time job, and I was lucky enough to keep working through lockdown from home though. I am a qualified pastry chef. So during lockdown, what I did, and you can check it out on Facebook from lockdown, from March or however long ago, I decided to do some lockdown baking with Zazz. So to keep myself busy, I guess, once a week, I think it was for the first 5 weeks, I decided to put out videos of how to make. The first one I think I did was donuts. So I showed like a quick video of how to do donuts, and I had my music playing in the background, a song, and with the steps and the recipes and things like that. So I tried to still keep my fans interested, but trying a different way, because I couldn't do what I wanted to, with all the music and stuff, but I still wanted to try to get my music out there some way. And I think the baking stuff actually got a really good response. I did a video with lemon meringue and chocolate tarts, and that one got a really good response, I think. So I think I kept myself busy. At some points I was trying to write as well, but it was good. I think it was good downtime. I certainly enjoyed the downtime, and like I said, I was working from home, so I was doing marking of student work and all those kind of things. So I have been very busy.
And obviously being like, the show having gotten, or the videos having gotten a good response, could we expect like a baking show from Zazz one day, or is that sort of not really gonna happen?
I'm not sure. There was actually a stage probably about 4 years ago that I thought, maybe I'll become a singing chef and I'll do some cool video or something, but I don't know. But it certainly crossed my mind.
I know that this is about music and stuff, and we strictly just focus on your music career, but damn, pastry, what is that? Is that like, okay, I don't really know much about it, but all I think of when someone mentions pastry is pie. Is it more than that?
Yeah, it's more than that. So it's learning croissants, tarts, choux pastry, chocolate eclairs. It's quite in-depth. Learning how to make puff pastry from scratch for the pie.
What's the secret to a really good croissant?
Ooh, patience and temperature.
It's really nice that you've got, quite a lot to focus on. You've got the music, and you've got the whole pastry chef thing going. And I'm not sure if I got you right, but did you say you're a teacher as well, or did you say you also teach how to make pastry?
So I'm a teacher as well. So I teach predominantly pastry.
And how do you sort of, balance both worlds, being a creative, making the music, and being a teacher as well?
So I'm very lucky that I just work Monday to Friday, which is great. So a lot of the times the music is on the weekends, and I go to studio once a week, and whether I'm writing for myself or not, I work with October Sun Productions to try and hone my skills, to get better, to learn a little bit more about writing and producing and all those kind of things, so that I can do it by myself or try to do things on my own if I had to.
To just transition us into the second segment, we could probably play Eclipse, and then people can get a taste of that, and then we'll come back now.
You said you'd love me, you'd never hurt me, you'd fight for what we found. My soul was on fire when I was around you, and it would never burn out. But here we are, thunder, lightning, and rain pouring down. The fire that once was burning
Yes, 100%. So yeah, to anyone who's been listening, that was Eclipse by Zazz, and we're just going to be wrapping up basically in this half of the interview. There's just a couple of things that I really just want to know on your end, Zazz. So just looking at, the local scene, or rather the South African music scene, what are some of the names or some of the artists that you'd, like to work with in future? Give us some names and why you'd want to work with those particular artists.
I think I would really like to probably work with Prime Circle, because they seem really, really cool. There's also, I'm just trying to think of some of them. I think it would be a great honor to work with any artist in this country, especially those who are, booming the industry. I am very fortunate to be working with Parable 15, and I sometimes go on tour with them and get to learn from them. Yeah, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I think Prime Circle would be cool. Oh, okay. Well, who I would really love to collaborate with would be Rubber Duck. Yeah, they're very cool. I would love to collaborate with them, probably learn from them, seeing them perform live. I saw them perform live. I think it was obviously before COVID. They were just before Jeremy Loops at Durban. I think it was
it was the old mutual thing.
Yes, yeah. So I got to see them there, and I love their music. And watching them perform live and the saxophone and all those kind of things, it was such a vibe. It was incredible. So definitely would love to work with them. Definitely. Definitely Rubber Duck, yeah.
Yo, that night, that performance there was actually incredible. In fact, that whole event was wild. It was crazy, actually.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
Would we probably be seeing you in one of the stages? One of their events. In future, is that a place that you also want to try play at?
It would be awesome. I've been very fortunate to have started out performing where I performed, where a lot of people have to climb up the ladder, and I didn't have to climb up the ladder. So I kind of, after COVID, I've got to learn to climb the ladder again, and hopefully one day I'll get to perform on a big stage like that.
For anyone who hasn't seen Zazz performing live, what is it that we can expect from a Zazz performance?
So it all depends. I've been fortunate enough to play with a band, but a lot of the time before that I was playing with tracks. But going out in the new year in 2021 and future, I am going to be trying and hopefully succeeding to play with just me and a guitar, and hopefully it is still as powerful as it was before.
So if it's just you and the guitar, are you basically saying that we could basically expect sort of a more toned down, more stripped down version of your tracks, the ones that we're familiar with from, the studio recorded ones, or is it more or less like the same kind of vibe?
So it will be stripped down in the sense that there's not all the equipment, but it will still be the same kind of energy from my vocals. It will still be as powerful. It's still the same tempos. I'm trying to keep the vibe the same in terms of like the speed and as powerful as it is. So it will be a little bit different, but hopefully just as great.
Talk me through your very first musical experience, like as far back as you can remember, the very first time you did anything musical.
So when I was younger, I was obsessed with Britney Spears. It's become a joke, but I remember singing in our lounge, I think, when I was younger, and I can't remember where I got these backing tracks from, but I would literally sing Britney Spears songs over and over and over and over again. And then there was a stage when I was in grade 8, so when I was 14, where I got to go, I did vocal lessons, and with the vocal lessons, I got to go into a studio, and the guy who was doing the vocal lessons would record a song. So the first song that I ever recorded was actually Unfaithful by Rihanna. So it's so funny to go back and like listen to it. I certainly wouldn't be putting it out. But it's cool to see where you've started and where you go. And funny enough, I will sing, let's say, a cover of a song. For example, Kerry Underwood sings a song Before He Cheats. And when I first sang that song, I really battled, just to get the notes and all those kind of things. But as you sing it more and more, you start to hit the range, and over time you get better and better. So it's cool to see the progress.
This recording, this Unfaithful recording, are you telling me it's like locked up somewhere, like it can never be found, like literally?
Yeah, my sister actually sent it. I thought I'd lost it because I don't know, I'm not very good at keeping things saved or anything. And she just like, I have it, I'll send it to you. And she sends it. I actually don't know where it is now after she sends it. But when she sends it to me, it was just after the album got released that I got to hear it again. I'm like, oh my goodness. So yes, it's locked away.
I can actually relate to that though, because I feel like it's a process that you need to go through. Like you can't just, randomly wake up and be super dope. Because like if you had to actually go back and listen to some of our earlier episodes, it's cringe. Like I'll even say it now, and these are not locked away. These are like available to everyone to listen to. So I completely relate to that. It makes a lot of sense. And just, one thing that I really just wanted to know as well is we know Zazz, the artist, we know Zazz, the pastry chef teacher. What do you do in your spare time? You mentioned to me in the first chat, that you did some gardening earlier on today. Besides the gardening, what else can we catch Zazz sort of doing when she's not making music or making pastry stuff?
So, I know it's like cheesy to say, but obviously spending time with my family and friends is quite a big thing. In my spare time, I just really try to chill, to try get some me time, alone time, and it's often watching series, playing games on my phone. I try to just chill out. So I'm not one to go to the beach, and obviously we can't go to the beach right now, but I'm not one to go to the beach, but I am one to like swim, chill out by the pool, just relax. I have gorgeous little niece and nephew that I love spending time with. So so in my spare time I just try to decompress from the busyness of life. I try not to be too busy if I don't have to be.
Yeah, you definitely need some of that time out, from the hectic, life of an artist and a musician. I can definitely appreciate that. You mentioned series, and I know that quite a lot of people are into that, people that listen to the show as well. What is your favorite series like right now? What are you watching?
I know people will like either roll their eyes or they'll be with me, but I love Grey's Anatomy. So Grey's Anatomy and Station 19 I've just watched Up to Date with them. There's another one that I've just watched with my mom called A Million Little Things. And if you haven't watched it, and whoever's listening, A Million Little Things is amazing. It is about real life, about depression, suicide, all those kind of things. And it's not like 13 Reasons. It's like as an adult, the drama that you go through, and I really enjoyed watching that. So I enjoy watching series that are going to make me cry or laugh or smile, something that's going to make me want to watch more. So yeah.
Okay, like from my perspective, like I've never really watched Grey's Anatomy, but I do know like a lot of people, like you said, will roll their eyes and all that. But I'm pretty sure people watch it for a reason. Like if you had to try sell it to me, like what makes Grey's Anatomy so good? Like why should someone try it out? Anyone who's listening.
Because it's relatable. Because it shows you like things that you wouldn't think of that people go through, like you could end up in hospital tomorrow for some reason. So it's cool to see that. And now with the latest season, I think it's season 19 now, I'm not even sure what number we're on, but But the latest season, and I know a lot of other shows are doing it, is they brought the COVID thing into it. It's been such a great way to carry on watching it, because there's things that I don't know about COVID or what people go through, and they're putting it into the show. So it's so like real, and you know, sometimes you'll watch a show and be like, oh, that's not unrealistic, you know, like, you know, whatever. But it's crazy watching it and thinking, oh my gosh, this is actually what we're going through. It's a great show because I've never got bored of it. There's always something crazy going on.
Can I like literally jump into season 19, or do I have to start from the beginning? Because I'm considering it now after that pitch.
I think you could try. I think I told somebody asked me, and I said maybe what I would do is go from 18, but just to understand all the characters, I would go from maybe 18, but I think you could start at 19. It's pretty interesting. I think you'll learn quickly all the characters, but I would maybe start at the season before. Yeah.
You really sold it really well there. That's really dope. Just looking back at the young Zazz, the Britney Spears singing Zazz, if you had to go back in time and talk to you know, the child version of yourself that was singing the Britney Spears songs, you know, what advice would you give that little child there?
Never give up. Never think that you're not good enough. Never think that you can't do it. Because if you put your mind to something, you can achieve it.
And I feel like that is actually something that even just anyone in general could even, you know, take as a piece of advice. It's really beautiful, and I think it's beneficial to everyone. So yeah, shout out to you for that one. My final question to you is, you have to pick one. Like, you have to pick one, and you're going to be playing alongside this artist. You know, I'm going to pick your influences here: Carrie Underwood, Kelsey Ballerini, Pink, and Kelly Clarkson. You have to pick one that you're going to be playing with. Who would you pick to play with, and why that particular artist?
I think that I would pick Kelly Clarkson, because I feel that I could learn a lot from her. Out of those three, I definitely think I would learn the most from Kelly Clarkson, and she just seems to have an amazing personality, and I think that she would be really fun to work with.
And, you know, just considering Kelly Clarkson's, you know, career, if I'm not mistaken, she was on Idols, eh? That's how she basically popped. Would you ever consider taking that route, you know, considering we're in South Africa, you know, South African Idols is like in our faces every single year. Is this something that you'd consider perhaps, or is it something that you sort of, you know, been staying away from for the time being?
So there have been moments where I've thought about it and thought about The Voice and all those kind of things, and I kind of feel like I don't really want to go down that path, and I feel like I'm getting older. I'm not as young as, I think if I was younger, maybe, but I think at the age that I'm at now, I think I want to just keep trying to pursue with the direction that I'm going, and I want to try my best to make it big without that, you know?
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Now, considering that we are fresh into the new year, 2021, what can, you know, we as Zazz fans expect from you? What is coming up? You've got the album out, you've got the singles doing really well. You know, what's next for you?
So next for me is kind of, I'm trying to knuckle down, if you can say it like that. I'm trying to knuckle down and do the guitar and Zazz thing. So for the future and for this next year, I'm hoping that COVID disappears quickly and can start booking some great gigs and all those kind of things, and slowly start getting and gaining all the confidence that I need to play guitar with just the guitar and my vocals, and to hopefully be as successful doing it like that than what I was playing with a band or with tracks, all those kind of things.
Yeah, that is really cool, and I think it leaves, you know, something for your fans, you know, to sort of look forward to and all that. And I really hope that even just anyone who's been listening to this chat, you know, has learned a lot more about you as well. I certainly have, so I just want to thank you, Zazz. for joining me on the show and allowing me to have a chat with you. I know it's under some hectic circumstances considering the pandemic and also the load shedding. But yeah, I'm really grateful that you came through, and I really appreciate this. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I think this has been really fun and really cool. Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, are there any parting words that you want to give to followers of Zazz and people that have been supporting you over the years?
Yeah, so basically what I would have said to myself as a young Zazz is, no matter what, and I know we're going through COVID and all those kind of things, but the only thing that's going to help us get through all of this is holding on to hope, make a dream board, focus, all those kind of things, choose your destination, and don't give up on your dreams, no matter what. I know that COVID's, and I know a lot of people have lost jobs, some people haven't got married, there's people aren't gigging, there's so many things that COVID has affected, but if you just focus on the goal, your goal, the thing that you wanted to accomplish regardless of COVID, hopefully, and we pray that you'll be able to do it. You'll be able to achieve everything that you set your heart to do.
Thank you so much for those words of wisdom, Zazz. Really appreciate it. If people want to get in touch with you online, reach out to you, listen to your music, drop you emails, follow you on social media, where do we sort of do that?
So on Facebook, it's just Zazz. I know that it is at Country Zazz if you do the username thing, I think. So it's just Zazz, and you'll see my cover picture is actually the picture from my Crash music video. So if you haven't seen, I have 2 music videos out, Crash and Collide, which are pretty cool. So check those out. They are on YouTube. So I've got a YouTube channel. Again, Zazz, it should come up. If you say Zazz These First Steps, a lot of the time it will come up. And Instagram is at Country Zazz. I'm not really very big on Twitter at the moment, so I haven't been tweeting, but mainly Instagram and Facebook is the main thing, and then YouTube. And I also have a website.
That is dope. Obviously, to anyone listening to this, you're probably going to be listening to it through SoundCloud or Apple Podcasts, or maybe even Spotify. We are Sludge Underground Podcast on Facebook, at Sludge Underground on Instagram, at Sludge Underground, and Twitter at Sludge031. And yeah, guys, as for myself, it's at Zwane031. Please do check out all our content. All our stuff is up on the Casual Sex Store. Do support the show, and please do support Zazz as well, with all her music and all her YouTube channels. And yeah, check out the music, and please continue to support local. I think we should close the shadows, considering it's doing the rounds on all the radio stations. So we're going to be playing out with that track there. I want to thank you one more time again, Zazz, for coming through to the show. Really appreciate this, and really hope to link up with you soon, and really hope that you stay safe through the pandemic, and that we link up in some shape or form. I hope this isn't the last time.
Great, thank you so much. Keep on and stay safe.
Hair down, girls' night out.